Don't wait to put an end to junk sleep. Shop Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale and wake up a better you. Save up to $500 when you get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin. Plus, get a free adjustable base with qualifying Sealy purchase up to a $499 value. Or shop Tempur-Pedic, the most highly recommended bed in America, and get a $300 instant gift good towards sleep accessories. Unjunk your sleep, only at Mattress Firm. Offer valid with qualifying purchase. Restrictions apply. See details at mattressfirm.com.
Hello, Discover here to explain our cash back match. Here's how it works. We give you cash back for using your Discover card on the things you were going to buy anyway. Then we match that cash back in your first year. And that's why we call it Cashback Match. Now to recap and say cashback one more time. We match all the cashback you've earned at the end of your first year automatically. Discover. Exceptionally common sense. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to another edition of Sports Ethos DFS Today. I am your host, Santino Cacone. This is your Tuesday, November 23rd edition. We have a short 4-game slate here for you guys and girls. We have pretty much every team is playing on Wednesday because nobody is playing on Thanksgiving. That is reserved for the NFL. But we have a nice 4-game slate for you here, which we'll run down very quickly. Like I mentioned, it's gonna be a pretty easy one. We have one game at 7, one game at 7:30, then 2 late ones at 10 and 10:30. Some pretty good teams playing. Among them, Nuggets, Heat, Lakers, Clippers, Mavs, Blazers, Knicks. Pretty much the only non-playoff contender is the Pistons. But nothing crazy on the spreads. We have 215 as the highest, 205.5 as the lowest. As the game totals. Spread 8 is the highest spread, 5 is the lowest spread. But with that said, let's jump right into the things. First game of the night, we have the Miami Heat traveling to Detroit to take on the Pistons. This is the lowest game total of the night with 205.5, and it is the highest spread with the Heat 8-point road favorites. On the injury report, we have Killian Hayes, Isaiah Livers, Kelly Olynyk, and Isaiah Stewart as out for this one on the Pistons. On the Heat side, we have Markieff Morris, Victor Oladipo out, Marcus Garrett, Duncan Robinson as questionable. We'll start with the Heat. And we'll start with Jimmy Butler, 9,700. That is a fair price tag for him. He hasn't played against this team yet. But that is a fair price tag for him. He has 4 of the last 5 games, minimum 44 fantasy points. 3 of the last 5 games, minimum 50 fantasy points there. We know what he's doing. He's shooting the lights out for the season. He is shooting just under 54% from the field. Not great from 3, only 27%. But he only has taken 22 threes on the year. He's pretty much just abandoned the three-point shot and getting his everywhere else. Averaging over 5 assists, averaging over 5 rebounds, and averaging over 2 steals per game. And a ton of free throws on 85% shooting from there. He's been awesome. This is going to be a really good matchup. The Pistons just are beat up. If this game can stay competitive, Pistons are beat up. Jimmy Butler will eat. And there is a chance we don't even see him tonight. Adebayo also, he's been playing a little banged up and on the injury report. He's not on the injury report today. Neither is Tyler Hero as of now. Neither is Kyle Lowry. But with this game, with them having no Isaiah Stewart, having no Kelly Olynyk, that's their 2 center options there. Both not playing in this one, so there might be a chance that they rest some guys. And the Heat are on the front end of a back-to-back. They do play on tomorrow as well. So does Detroit. So we'll keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on if the injury report changes. If not, Jimmy Butler makes sense, even though at 9-7, Adebayo makes a lot of sense at 8.5. There's no Stewart, there's no Olynyk. They're going to probably either start small or maybe they start Luka Garza. We'll get to that in a moment. But there's nobody that's even going to be able to stop Bam, and Bam makes a ton of sense at 8.5. But you can also get some rest. So we will see on that as well. No Duncan Robinson. That means someone else might start in this lineup. It could be Tyler Hero. Maybe Butler jumps to the 5, or they just keep Hero in his 6-man role, which makes a lot of sense too. And we could see either Akpala, Cody Martin, one of those two likely to draw the start, even Max Struss. Maybe they'll throw in Gabe Vincent as a start. We'll see who actually draws the start with Duncan Robinson questionable. But I don't think we have to fully rush there, though. In a likely garbage time scenario, getting starters minutes, even if they don't get starters minutes, getting the starter role, there will be extra minutes at the end of the game in garbage time, most likely. So that guy, whoever draws the start, makes some sense. Struss would be nice if he gets that start, and so would Martin. Both of them I would prefer over Vincent there. PJ Tucker at 3,900. He's playing pretty well. His offensive game has been a lot better than what we expected. So, yeah. And last 5 games, he has a minimum of 21 fantasy points. 6 out of the last 7, minimum of 21 fantasy points with a couple in the 30s there. At only 3,900. The guy has 4 out of the last 5 games, he scored double-digit points. He's bringing back value here, and his price tag just isn't increasing. He actually went down $300 before that last game after putting up 27 fantasy points in 4 straight games over 21. So he's bringing back value, and it's continuing. And this is another matchup that he definitely can. The Pistons are likely to drop everybody down and play smaller. And while they don't have to run PJ Tucker out for a ton of minutes here, because, again, front end of a back-to-back against the beat-up Pistons team, he still looks pretty good at 3,900, and we can throw him in there. That paired with whoever gets that start. All right, jumping on over to the Detroit side of the ball. There's no Olynyk, there's no Stewart, there's no Hayes. That's 2 starters and their 6th man. 2 guys splitting center minutes and their starting point guard / shooting guard, however you want to call that. Cade Cunningham has been playing awesome lately. 4 straight games with at least 41 fantasy points, 2 in the 50s. He's coming off his first career triple-double. He's not shooting the ball great. No, by no means. But 2 of those 4 games, he shot 50% or better 50% from the field. The other 2, just bad. Still on the year, he's shooting 35% from the field, but he's still averaging nearly 33 fantasy points a game. I like him here. There's not going to be any Hayes, who has been playing off the ball a little bit anyway, but that just gives more ball handling duties to Cade Cunningham. There's not going to be any starting center on this team. There's going to be more shot opportunities, and Cade Cunningham, they're going to need him to do everything to stay in this game. They are on the front end of a back-to-back, but this could also be blowout scenario. Get away from them. Cunningham is still going to play in that scenario, and at 7,400, I still think he makes a lot of sense. Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, not bad options. I don't fully want to go to them, but someone is likely to start at center in this of those 2 in this matchup because there's no Stewart or Olynyk. Or, as I mentioned earlier, they might throw Luka Garza in there. Probably have him up. They might throw him or Trey Lyles at center. Both of those guys will make sneaky options if they do get the start. Obviously, bare minimum price tags, and they need size, so they're both going to play. We'll see who draws the start there, but they both make sense as options. Diallo at 3,500 might draw the start. We'll see exactly. He played 21 minutes in the last one. He put up 32 fantasy points. Again, there's no starting center, and there's no starting point guard, so they're going to have to change up the lineup here. We could see Frank Jackson draw the start. We saw Corey Joseph do it in the last game, and he's been bringing back 20 points, but I prefer Frank Jackson. He's just better. This Pistons team is going to have a lot of value tonight. They're going to, in a bad matchup, they're still going to have a lot of value, though, because most of these guys are under 4K. They only have 3 guys on the team that are playing that are over 4,000. So Frank Jackson, Josh Jackson, Diallo, Garza, Trey Lyles, they're all in play for me, and we will see how the lineup shakes out eventually. Again, Corey Joseph might draw the start. I still prefer Frank Jackson over him. Diallo might draw the start, and they might just go Diallo, Grant, Bay in the front court. Or they can go Garza or Trey Lyles to get that center spot. Keep an eye on all those guys, but they're all going to be getting extra minutes, and it's likely garbage time. So I will keep them all in my player pool for now, and I'll see how everything shakes out, see what Coach Casey says pregame on what he's going to do with the rotations and whatnot. But all those guys are in play, and they're super, super cheap. But again, watch out for the news, and let's see what happens. And Miami might be resting some people, seeing all this, knowing that it's probably going to be a win anyway. They're 8-point road favorites right now.
Is that Dunkin's new holiday blend coffee?
Sure is, because sometimes the holidays just call for Dunkin'.
What's in it? A spark of holiday spirit?
A cup full of holiday cheer?
Your very own holiday shopper?
Actually, all that, and notes of molasses and dried fruit. Just the warming blend I need for that holiday hustle.
Sit through the holidays with the $2 medium holiday blend coffee at Dunkin'. America runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. Limited time offer. Exclusions apply.
Hello, this is Discover, and we take customer service very seriously. We know that if you have a question or concern about your credit card, that's a serious matter, and you need to talk to a real person about it. So we offer around-the-clock access to seriously talented representatives in the USA. Again, it's a serious endeavor. The only funny thing about it is Bob. If you call us and Bob answers, you're in for a treat. Get 100% US-based customer service and talk to a real person day or night. Discover. Exceptionally common sense.
All right. Let's jump on over to the next game of the night. That starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the Los Angeles Lakers traveling across country to take on the New York Knicks. We have a 215 game total, which is the highest of the night, and the Knicks are 5.5-point home favorites. On the injury report, we don't have a Trevor Ariza. LeBron James is suspended. Kendrick Nunn all out. Austin Reeves doubtful, and Anthony Davis as probable. On the Knicks, we have Mitch Robinson is out. Taj Gibson doubtful. Derrick Rose questionable. Right, we'll start with the Lakers side of the ball. No LeBron James. That means Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, Talen Horton-Tucker, Carmelo Anthony all get extra shots. So does Malik Monk. We'll start with Talen Horton-Tucker. In the games without LeBron so far, the first 3 games, 17, 28, and 25 points. I know LeBron missed a good chunk of the Detroit game, and Talen Horton-Tucker was part of that comeback, though he only hit 4 of 13 shots. But those first 3 games of the season, he shot 7 of 14, 9 of 19, 9 of 18. I expect that to bounce back again. There is no LeBron James. This is a pretty good matchup for him, and he's only $5,900. He did jump up $600 since that last game. Since they're seeing LeBron James gone, they know that his price tag jumps up. But he brought back 27, 42, and 52 fantasy points in those 3 games without LeBron when he just coming back from a month or pretty much a month off of the first month of the season and the preseason. We're about 2 months off. So Talen Horton-Tucker is definitely in play to me. I prefer him over Carmelo just because he does a little bit more. He gets more rebounds. He'll have more usage. He handles the ball a lot and has Russ play off ball. So I prefer him for that $500 extra there. But Russ and AD are going to be in play here without LeBron James, as we know. And the New York Knicks just haven't been as good as we thought they could be. Their defense has not been great, to say the least, this year. It's not been a typical Tom Thibodeau defensive team, and it's not been a typical Tom Thibodeau team. A lot of people are getting a lot of different minutes, especially in that backcourt. But with no Mitch Rob, no Taj Gibson, we're going to see a lot of Nerlens Noel, which is a solid thing. But Anthony Davis does make a lot of sense at 10-9. He's coming off a 70-point fantasy game. There's outside of Noel, who's been in and out of the lineup as is, they don't really have much front court depth. They might see Obi Toppin play a lot or Julius Randle play at the 5. And Anthony Davis is much bigger, taller than his former teammate Julius Randle. I like Anthony Davis in this matchup. And Russell Westbrook, anytime that one of these stars are out, he just makes sense. I do prefer AD over Westbrook, but if you want to play the pivot game, that makes sense there as well. Taking shots on people, you could take a shot at on Malik Monk at 4,100, but I don't really want or Wayne Ellington at 3K. But I'm pretty much sticking with Horton-Tucker, AD as my main 2 guys, and leaving it at that You could look at Howard, maybe even DeAndre Jordan, but I don't think we need to. I think we're going to have a lot of value on this slate to begin with. All right, jumping on over to the Knicks side of the ball. Mentioned there's no Mitch Robb. Taj Gibson doubtful. Nerlens Noel is not on the injury report. He's going to start at 4,200. He's going to have to play 30 minutes in this one. Yes, you can definitely look at him. The upside is always not the craziest, especially since he's been in and out of the lineup. You know he's not going to take a lot of shots. His usage isn't there, but he gets his money worth on grabbing rebounds and playing solid defense, getting stocks there, pitching in a couple assists here and there. He has back-to-back games of 5 fouls in the last 2 games on a back-to-back that he played on both ends. So that's something to keep an eye on, but they need him out there. He's going to have to start, going to have to play a lot of minutes unless they really want to put Randall at the 5 and play smaller. I don't see them doing that to start the game at the very least. So Nerlens Noel makes a lot of sense. Julius Randle, speaking of him, going to play the 4, going to play the 5, going to take 15 shots in here. I do prefer AD over him. I do prefer Butler over him too, but this is a very good matchup. The Lakers flat out stink on the defensive end right now. They're not really doing much, so Randle makes sense, but I do prefer a couple other people over him, so I'm not gonna go there, but I don't mind him as a pivot in tournaments. I'll probably be lower owned than others. And the backcourt to me is just, I don't know. I don't mind RJ Barrett. He's the one guy. He's pretty much playing small forward a lot anyway. He's the one guy that I do trust. And at 5,600, I think that's a fairly solid price tag. We saw his price drop about $1,000 since the last week. Last 10 days of the season, he was 6,500, I think, against Charlotte about 10 days ago or so. So $1,000 difference nearly. That is nice, and I like RJ Barrett. He would be the one guy outside of Noel that I'm trusting. Randall is that pivot guy, but even in cash, I like RJ Barrett. But everybody else, quickly, Fournier, Alec Burks, Rose is questionable, so that opens up some minutes. But Kemba Walker, these guys, this is not the typical Tibbs rotation here. They're all playing minutes, and whoever's playing good is getting those minutes that particular game. We see Tibbs likes to run his guys into the ground, but he's really only running Randall into the ground and RJ Barrett sometimes. Barrett's not even playing as much as he did last year. He's only averaging 32.5. And I say only because it is Thibodeau. But everybody else, it's pretty much hit or miss on who's going to who's going to close this game, who's going to get all the minutes. Quickly has been separating himself a little bit. I think he's been playing in at least 20, 21 minutes to low 20s to high 20s in the last 6 games or so. I've been playing pretty well. I think he makes sense under 4K, but the rest of these guys, I just can't go to it. It's a hit or miss type of environment with all of them doing that. And one guy I will say to keep an eye on is Jericho Sims at the bare minimum. If Noel is limited in any way, shape, or form, we could see a solid amount of minutes from Jericho Sims. He played in the preseason, played pretty well. So they don't have Mitch, and they likely won't have Taj. They'll need some size against the Lakers because we know that the Lakers have Jordan, Howard, AD, and the boys. So Jericho Sims might see some run here, make some sense as 3K bare minimum. A lot of guys in Detroit that will get more opportunity, but Sims makes for a pivot play in the right scenario, and we'll see what happens before the pregame on what Tibbs, if there's any news coming out of that. All right, jumping on over to the second to last game of the night. Oh, wait, there's more. The NBA is back, and at DraftKings Sportsbook, an authorized sports betting partner of the NBA, the key to victory is a strong starting 5. New customers can bet just $5 on any NBA team to win their game, and if they do, you win $200 in free bets. DraftKings Sportsbook customers can also get their skin in the game with new same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code NBA today. Bet just $5 on any NBA team to win their game, and you win $200 in free bets. If they win, you win with promo code NBA today. this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an authorized sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, let's jump on over to this next game. We have the Denver Nuggets taking on the Portland Trailblazers at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a 214 game total, and the Blazers are 6.5-point home favorites. On the Nuggets side of the ball, we have Bones Highland. He's out. Jamal Murray's out. Zeke Naji is out. Michael Porter Jr. might be out for the year. And Nikola Jokic is questionable, which, on the Blazers, we have nobody on the injury report. So that is good to know. And I forgot to mention the Lakers are on the front end of a back-to-back as well. The Knicks are not. The Denver Nuggets are not. The Portland Trailblazers are. And then we'll get to the last game of the night and throw those out there. But we'll start with the Nuggets. They are the away team. Without Jokic, it could turn into a blowout. They already don't have Murray. They already don't have Porter. That's their 2 and 3 options. If they don't have Jokic again, it's not looking likely. And if they don't have Jokic, Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, Morris all make a ton of sense. Morris at 4,400, he's going to get a lot of shots. He's going to easily beat value here. I know he hasn't in the last 2 games. He shot 6 of 18, but he should be getting a better matchup here against Portland. He can take advantage of Lillard and McCollum defense and Simon's defense. Will Barton is going to have to be the alpha guy again. He hasn't beaten that price tag in the last 2 games. He matched it, but those were 2 better teams, especially Phoenix, where they got blown out. It just makes some sense. Jeff Green, Michael Green, 2 cheap guys under 4K to take a look at. Jeff Green's going to play regardless now. He's drawn the start without Michael Porter Jr., so he makes sense. But Michael Green, I would prefer him at the higher upside if there is no Jokic. If Jokic plays, then he himself makes a ton of sense if he's ready to go at 11.4. I know that's an expensive price tag, but he's probably the easiest chalk play of the night if so. The Blazers can get eaten at any part of the floor on any position, and Jokic is the guy, especially with no more Michael Porter Jr. possibly for the year and maybe even next year. To be honest, that nerve issue, a second back surgery, could be the end. I don't even want to get in there, but yeah. Austin Rivers could make some sense at 3,400 if there's no Jokic. There's going to be more minutes around the rotation for him. I do prefer Morris over those guys. I would go Green, Morris, and Barton if you had the money for the most part. Can look Aaron Gordon too again. Also makes sense. He's had 2 really good games without Jokic there. 40, almost 50 fantasy points, and then over 38 fantasy points. So he's playing more of that point forward role that he did in Orlando without Jokic there. But we'll see exactly what happens on the injury report. Obviously, Jokic's news is massive throughout that entire rotation and that entire team and this entire matchup in general, because it could turn into a blowout. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that to see who we like. If Jokic does play, won't have much Barton, won't have much Aaron Gordon, won't have both of the Greens. I would just have Morris. But again, if Jokic doesn't play, all those guys get a bump. I like JaMychal more than Jeff. Morris makes sense. And either Gordon or Barton could find yourself, if you're in that middle of the range, with money-wise, they both can find themselves in your lineup, I should say. Both have solid potential here. Barton probably has the better matchup defensively. All right. Jumping on over to the Portland side of the ball. A lot of this hinges on Jokic's availability. We see Damien Lillard starting to heat up now. He has a ton of games. He finally had over 50 fantasy points in the last one, 56. And 7 straight games, 41 or more fantasy points. So he's starting to heat up. Value is close to be had there, but if Jokic's not here, honestly, I don't trust this game to stay super competitive. So I don't really want to go them there. McCollum, I would rather just go to Barton or Gordon on the other end for a little bit cheaper if there's no Jokic, obviously. And if there is, I don't really want to go to McCollum anyway. I think we have some other options here to choose from. Nurkic's outlook gets much better if there's no Jokic. Only 6,300. He has back-to-back games of over 36 fantasy points. No Jokic. There's not much energy expended on defense without him there, so it makes a lot of sense. He's going to gobble up a lot of rebounds there. If Jokic does play, he teeters on my player pool. It is always a revenge game against Denver there, but everyone else not too thrilled about Larry, except for Larry Nance Jr. He's still seeing minutes in the 20s. Last game he only brought back 17 fantasy points, but 2 games before that, 23 and 39 respectively. Like that there, I will take a shot at Larry Nance at 3,600 to differ from some of these other guys that we mentioned in that under 4K range. No one else really. Nurkic and Nance mostly here, but again, we got to see what happens with Jokic. If Jokic doesn't play, it does also help Nance. You're going to see more minutes in garbage time there for the most part. All right, jumping on over to the last game of the night. Before we do that, I want to give a shout out over to our friends at manscaped.com, the #1 men's below the waist grooming out there. Right in time for the holiday seasons, you can get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com using the promo code hoopball20. Again, that's 20% off and free shipping with the promo code hoopball20. Get yourself the perfect package 4.0, which includes the lawnmower 4.0 and all the other good stuff in it. Simply amazing. All right, last game of the night, we have the Dallas Mavericks taking on the Los Angeles Clippers. We have a 208 game total, and the Clippers are 5-point home favorites. On the injury report, we have Luka as questionable. They supposedly said he had a setback yesterday, so I don't feel comfortable playing him at the end of, unless it's a cheap tournament where I don't mind losing a couple dollars. I don't mind taking a chance on him, separate myself from the pack. But that news wasn't great unless we get confirmation that he's definitely playing. Maxi Kleber is probable. Frankie the Tanky Ntilikina is out. On the Clippers side of the ball, we have Batum, Keon Johnson, Kawhi, Jason Preston all out, and Marcus Morris Sr. is probable for this one. Ooh, a return for the Morris brothers. And I just mentioned it with Luka at 11-7. You really can't risk that. In cash games, you got to leave them alone. In tournament games, expensive tournament games, I can't play him here unless I have confirmation later on in the day and as we get closer to initial tip-off. That's just too much money to waste. And obviously, if he doesn't play, I guess you can go Paul George and change your lineup there, but it's just not comfortable for me to do that. Porzingis makes a lot of sense at 8.5. Might not be Luka again. Probably not Luka, I should say. I don't think Luka's going to play. They said he had a setback in practice. I wouldn't expect him to play tonight. But I've seen crazier things happen, so won't say that. Porzingis makes a lot of sense. We've seen 5 straight games of 42 or more fantasy points. He's getting a ton of shots. There's no, especially if Luka's not there. You can have some success against the Clippers, not the most success, but you can have some success against the Clippers. And if someone's going to have it, it's likely to be him. I know Jalen Brunson's going to take a lot of shots here too. At 7.3 without Luka, the usage is going to be there. I just don't really feel comfortable with it. Tim Hardaway Jr. shot 9 of 32 in the last 2 games, taking a ton of shots, and then he took 23 shots before that. So the shots are not the problem. It's hitting them that is. Though 5,800 with that type of volume, with 56 shots in the last 3 games, yeah, that makes sense. You can throw him in there. I don't know if we'll hit a bunch because this is one of the best defenses in the league, but that type of volume is hard to come by for a guy under 6K. So it makes sense there. Maxi Kleber, Dwight Powell, don't really want much to do with either of them unless they say Kleber's ready to go for 25 to 30 minutes. Then makes a little bit more sense if they can put Porzingis at the 5 more and play Kleber and Porzingis together. But outside of that, I'm just looking mainly at Hardaway and Porzingis here without Luka. And again, I'm expecting Luka not to play. I'm not even going to take the chance of putting him in my lineup. Right on the other side of the ball, we have Big Paul George. He put up 29, 6, and 4 in their one meeting against this team. 12 of 5 shooting in 37 minutes, which is good for 43 fantasy points. And that meeting was, ding, 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 the other day. This is a rematch from the other day from these guys. And these guys played against each other twice in the playoffs in the last 2 years. I expect Paul George to have a pretty solid game. I don't think I'll go to him too much. I like some other options around there, but I expect him to have a solid game. But without Luka, I don't expect him to need to play over 40 minutes. I know they only won by 6 in the last one, and they were home again there. I expect a little bit different of an outcome if Luka doesn't play here. Reggie Jackson does make sense to me. He also had a solid game with 32.5 fantasy points. He didn't do much. He didn't grab many rebounds, only grabbed 2 rebounds, had 4 assists, didn't get any defensive stats. And he shot 8 of 14 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, 35 minutes. Still brought back value here, and he didn't do much outside of scoring. I think we can expect a little bit more on the non-scoring categories, and that should be helpful for his value here. Marcus Morris Sr. Don't want to run to him in his first game back, but without Nick Batum, he might draw the start. He could play 25 minutes or so. If he wasn't 4,900, I'd be more interested in him. I don't know why he has to be 4,900 in his first game back. That's for another day, though. Zubats, 5,100. Makes a little sense. He has 4 straight games of at least 26 fantasy points, so he's bringing back value there. And he brought back 29.5 against these guys the other night in 27 minutes, 6 of 7 from the field. Had 16 points, 10 rebounds, a nice double-double there. Yes, he makes sense for me too, and he'll be in my player pool. That's pretty much it. Don't want too much to run with these guys. We'll see what happens with Marcus Morris Sr. if he draws a start or if they just bring him off the bench in this one. All right, but that does it for this nice 4-game slate. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will catch you again tomorrow for the big pre-Thanksgiving matchup. We have pretty much every team in the league playing tomorrow night. There's I believe 26 teams Wednesday because no one is playing on Thursday. So we're going to get the majority of the games tomorrow. This is just a tease before the big slate goes. With a day off, might see some people not playing there with pretty much everybody off, but that is for another day. Thank you for tuning in and have a great night. Happy holidays. Peace.
Now is the best time to start working at Amazon. They are offering sign-on bonuses up to $3,000 and hourly pay up to $22 per hour. You'll bring home a great weekly paycheck, and many jobs come with benefits that start on your first day. That's higher pay, sign-on bonuses, benefits day one. And you'll be part of a safe and inclusive workplace ranked among the best in the world. Go to amazon.com/apply to start your job search today. Amazon is proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Hello, this is Discover, and we take customer service very seriously. We know that if you have a question or concern about your credit card, that's a serious matter, and you need to talk to a real person about it. So we offer around-the-clock access to seriously talented representatives in the USA. Again, it's a serious endeavor. The only funny thing about it is Bob. If you call us and Bob answers, you're in for a treat. Get 100% US-based customer service and talk to a real person day or night. Discover. Exceptionally common sense.